Welcome to The Explainer, where we transform complex theological concepts into clear, structured frameworks you can actually use. Today, we're taking a fascinating look at the biblical concept of wisdom, pulling from the insights of Dr. Gary Meadors. If you've ever felt like making the right choice is just a giant, mysterious guessing game, well, you're definitely not alone. But the ancient texts actually offer a highly structured, objective approach that might completely change how you view your daily decisions, from choosing a career path to navigating your relationships. Picture this. A little girl is standing at the top of a pitch-black basement staircase, asking her father if she should jump. Many people would call jumping into that darkness a perfect example of blind faith. People use this illustration all the time. But here's the thing. The source material argues this is a profound misunderstanding of both faith and wisdom. It creates a pretty dangerous framework where we're expected to make choices without even being able to see where we're landing. To break all this down, here's our roadmap for today. First, decoding the word wisdom. Then, wisdom as a technical skill. Third, turning on the light. Fourth, the why of decision-making. And finally, skill versus expediency. All right, diving right into section 1, decoding the word wisdom. It is absolutely vital we ground our understanding in the actual text. What's really fascinating here is the root of these words. Both the Hebrew term hakma and the Greek term sophia fundamentally translate to skill, not just some abstract knowledge. Dr. Meadors points out that in our modern culture, we kind of tend to etherealize the word wisdom. We treat it like this magical floating intuition. But for the ancients, no way. It meant the concrete, practical skill to do or understand something, literally the skill to navigate your life experiences effectively. Take a look at this classic text from Proverbs. It's a textbook example of Hebrew synonymous parallelism. Now, we all know that first half, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But we almost always miss what that second line is doing. It's actually defining the first line for us. And the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. See how those poetic lines connect the dots? Fearing God isn't just about mindless terror. It corresponds directly to deep knowledge and respect for your sovereign. And by that exact same parallel logic, wisdom equates to understanding. Wisdom isn't a vague vibe you get. It's the practical, boots-on-the-ground understanding of how to live out what you actually know. Which leads us perfectly into section 2, wisdom as technical skill. If you read through the Old Testament, it is literally packed with these rapid-fire examples where the word for wisdom describes highly technical, hands-on abilities. Exodus describes the wisdom to weave garments and build the sanctuary. Ecclesiastes talks about having wisdom with an axe when you're chopping down massive trees. And remember when Pharaoh needed someone to save Egypt from a catastrophic famine in Genesis 41? He looked for a wise man, meaning someone with serious chops in business, management, and logistics. True wisdom is a visible, applied skill. Crucially, Dr. Meadors notes that wisdom doesn't just magically pop into your head out of the blue. It does not self-originate. It is cultivated through time, through experience, and through actively acquiring knowledge. Think of it like a master carpenter. They have to spend years learning their trade to become skilled with wood, right? In the exact same way, you have to actively learn and practice to build the skill of wise living. So, keeping that in mind, let's revisit that dark basement in section 3, turning on the light. To make that basement illustration truly biblical, the father doesn't ask his daughter to jump blindly. He simply needs to turn on the light so the girl can see him, because real faith and real wisdom are based on clear understanding, not just guessing in the dark. As the source argues, faith never jumps into the dark, it jumps into the light. You aren't meant to just stumble forward through life without lines of sight. Dr. Meadors uses this really funny comparison here. He contrasts this idea of blind faith with an old Almond Joy candy commercial. Remember their famous tagline? Indescribably delicious? Well, a lot of folks treat their faith or their big life decisions exactly like an almond joy, like it's this completely mysterious, indescribable feeling. But biblical wisdom is not indescribably delicious. Actually, scratch that, it is highly describable. The Bible turns the lights on and gives us a framework we can actually understand and explain. Let's see how that structured reasoning applies to everyday life in section 4, the why of decision-making. Now, we really need to highlight the difference here between simple pragmatism and actual wisdom. Just doing whatever makes sense to you at the time, that's not wisdom. That's just being pragmatic.
True wisdom demands way more. It demands that you actually connect lines of reason from your biblical worldview and values straight to your final decision. It demands that you think critically and evaluate exactly why you are doing what you are doing.
Dr. Meadors illustrated this brilliantly with young couples in his office using the Socratic method. They'd come in and say, "We want to get married." And he'd immediately ask, "Why?" They'd inevitably say something like, "Because we just love each other so much." And he would just look at them and ask again, "Why?" He repeated this on purpose to strip away those pure feelings and demand actual logical explanations, because emotions are experiences, they aren't explanations.
Here's the bottom line. If you can't answer the question why beyond just stating how you feel, you haven't really applied the skill of wisdom to your decision-making framework yet. You have to be able to trace the logic step by step from your core worldview directly to the choice you're making. Look, you never do anything completely by accident. Your brain is always working. But wisdom is what forces you to make those internal lines of reason explicit.
And this demands a really rigorous approach to our lives, which brings us to an academic critique in our final section, Section 5, Skill versus Expediency. We see a really sharp contrast between two different models of decision-making here. The source evaluates Gary Frisen's popular concept of spiritual expediency, often used for non-moral decisions, and compares it against Dr. Meadors' strict requirement for explicit biblical lines of reason. Now, while acknowledging that Frisen's work definitely had a positive impact on combating subjective theology, the source points out a major divergence here when it comes to what wisdom actually demands of us. The source neutrally but very firmly evaluates Frisen's model as deficient. Why? Because expediency often just defaults to doing what you personally think is best without requiring any real proof. It completely lacks the strict discipline of true ancient kokma, that applied skill we've been talking about. Expediency just sets a much lower standard. It leaves way too much room for subjective self-justification, instead of the rigorous, intentional skill building we really need.
Instead of wandering around out there in the desert, seeking some subjective inner voice or just relying on what's personally expedient, the prophet Isaiah reminds us where true direction comes from. It comes from deep, sustained work in the text, to the law and to the testimony. It's this lifelong process of learning, revising your mindset, and grounding your logic in an objective framework rather than just doing whatever feels right in the heat of the moment.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself, what lines of reason are truly driving your choices today? Are your biggest life decisions being guided by some indescribable fleeting feeling? Or have you done the hard work of building the practical, concrete skill of wisdom? The next time you have to make a big choice, turn on the lights, demand a why, and I'll see you in the next explainer.